Hello again. We start the panel discussion, AI policy framework between sovereignty and standards. I would like to invite our moderator, Anna Chirita, Strategic Projects Director at ATIC and Program Lead for Tekwill, and the speakers, Levan, Darsalia, Deputy Chairman at Georgia's Innovation and Technology Agency, Peter Bilyk, Member of the Expert Committee on AI Development in Ukraine under the Ministry of Digital Transformation of Ukraine. He is joining us online, and Alexandru Gozun, AmCham Moldova President, Director of PricewaterhouseCoopers Moldova.
Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining the session. We hope we will not take too long, but cover all topics that we have prepared. Therefore, as my predecessor has mentioned, we have three people on board. We have Levan, who is Deputy Chairman of JITA and has a broad experience in developing national AI strategy and other initiatives. We have Peter from Ukraine. And Peter, feel free to tell us when we need to stop, because I know you have a meeting at 3:30. So in case you need to go earlier, we will prioritize that you talk. He's the head of Just Kutum law firm, and also he's a member of expert committee of the development of artificial intelligence under the Ukraine's Ministry of Digital Transformation. When he has time, he also teaches AI for lawyers and is involved in multiple AI-related initiatives. And of course, we have Alexandru Gozun, who is my old colleague and friend from Moldova, who is president of AmCham and has over 20 years of experience in business development sector. He is also board member of European Business Association and involved in multiple initiatives, one of them being the establishment of an AI hub in Moldova. So, our topic today relates to sovereignty and standards. We have a set of 4 different types of questions that we would like to cover. And the first one would go probably to Levan. And it's kind of a bit of a prehistory when we're talking about sovereignty and standards and how in the AI era that actually relates to a current reality. We see countries that succeed, such as the US, and that is leading currently still the AI according to multiple statements, and including ChatGPT, who considers that US is leading, although maybe there are hidden other placements of other countries. In Europe, we have Denmark, who is really making its way in the private sector, but then we have France and UK and other countries that are leading on the ecosystem side. So when it comes to Georgia, how do we interpret AI sovereignty? Is it about data control? Is it about talent? Or is it a strategic autonomy?
Well, first of all, greetings to everybody. Thank you for the question. I think Georgia and we interpret the AI sovereignty as basically everybody else. Well, I think we cannot talk, no country actually can be fully 100% sovereign because, well, the reality is that 2 countries on the planet now control the majority of the infrastructure and majority of the models is the US and China. So, and basically everybody else is, I would say, dependent to a certain extent on those 2 big players. But how we interpret sovereignty in this case is that at least we want to be up to date. Both public sector and private sector has to keep up with the developments in the world that are happening, and we have to equip ourselves and at least be self-sufficient to have the self-sufficient infrastructure in the country and to be able to attract and retain and train the talent and the general understanding of AI within the population of Georgia. So once these 2 bits are done, and our national strategy that we are currently working on relies heavily on the AI education and AI upskilling and reskilling of the entire country. We're, of course, now negotiating with NVIDIA to bring the cluster of the GPUs and establish AI Excellence Center, and basically we will also be training the Georgian models to integrate the AI in the Georgian public sector and private sector as well. But of course we will be using heavily the architecture of the existing models, which is OpenAI, Gemini, Anthropic, and so on. But we will be, as I mentioned, training the SLMs in Georgian to specifically fit in specific directions like healthcare, public services, and education and agriculture. And once, we build the infrastructure, and once we have the Georgian models and we have these Georgian models deployed in everyday life, I think that's when we will achieve the sovereignty as much as we can, basically.
Thank you. Good start. Peter, Ukraine's context is in general unique. I'm sorry, I'm turning around. I'm trying to see your face. How has the war accelerating your thinking around technological sovereignty and AI's role in resilience? We see that Ukraine is trying to advance in many cases and is using AI for multiple reasons. So we would like to hear your opinion and the advancements and progress related to what's happening in Ukraine.
Thank you so much for inviting me to this interesting discussion. For Ukraine, AI sovereignty, it's not about isolation, it's about resilience, interdependence, the ability to keep safe our state and society under Russian attack, and to protect Ukraine from propaganda, deepfakes, and other attacks and other items which we have faced through Russian invasion. Moreover, Navarro could present Ukrainian digital transformation from years into months, and made the AI mission to become the leading AI country in public sector up to 2030. And three pillars of our approach: it's a digital state mission transformed to agentic state at scale as resilience infrastructure. Right now we are building AI factory. It's a big data center for processing data. Also, we are developing our national language model. We have launched the first government AI agent that can deliver some government services, not just chat or search information. We are also implementing different defense dual-use solutions in different areas and different cases. For example, through the Russian invasion, where some private companies developed OSINT services which can help us to detect some propaganda and deepfakes in the social medias, and to work with that. Moreover, we are trying to implement European approach and European standards of AI, and we also signed the first AI convention of protecting human rights, and we are trying to implement different approaches which allows us to protect Ukrainians and to provide the new possibilities of using this game changer technology.
Peter, thank you. An interesting fact that both Ukraine and Georgia is actually developing their own LLMs. So, Alexandru, from the corporate side of you, when countries are trying to develop their own LLMs and reach their own sovereignty, how does that clash with the global giants and competitiveness and compliance standards? And how do we make sure that whatever we do is maybe either competitive or related to what a nation stands for?
Thank you, Anna, and thanks a lot for having me here. Hello, everyone. And I'll actually very much agree with Levan on the statement that the sovereignty is determined by the country's capability to enforce that sovereignty. And Moldova's scale and the current technological development is making us very realistic about what could be reached in terms of sovereignty versus implementation of the standards, global standards, and basically following the global laws. Now, the thing is that when we look, if I would define sovereignty, well, not academically, I'd say that it's not doing everything to do everything by yourself, but rather able to choose your standards, your models, your partners, your implementation architecture. So, and I guess that's what we need to think about when we talk about countries like Moldova in terms of governance. It's merely a governance question. Because once every ministry or agency starts developing its own tools, models, pilots, network of providers, and understanding of compliance, then it's not sovereignty, it's rather chaos. When the governance coordination is in place, especially on the data governance subjects, on the risk assessments, on the implementation side, then we can talk about the sovereignty and standards not clashing, but actually working together in order to make the general goal of this embracing of the technology in a valid way for a country of Moldovan scale. Let me put it like this. So, I mean, I guess for us, sovereignty is not isolation, as Peter was saying, is rather the capability to integrate delivery. I'd say that's how I would see it. Okay.
Thank you. I'll go back to Peter. So we change a bit the order of our speakers. And then the question would go into how Ukraine is preparing for the EU AI Act. Does it see that there needs to be alignment, adaptation? Is it actually a hybrid model or an isolation?
Yeah, thank you. It's a very good question, also related to our integration to European Union and our association agreement. We closely discuss different approaches with the European Council, and in 2023, we have developed and provided to public consultation our roadmap, which was integrated to white paper of AI policy in Ukraine, which provided public and private sector some expectation from European integration related to artificial intelligence and also other framework. We have developed bottom-up approach because we understood that it's not the good way under-regulate this new era. We are thinking about how can we support our businesses who are developing AI and to provide them the best possibilities to achieve more and to compare with other countries. So we have developed a bottom-up approach which consists of two phases. First phase is like the soft law. It's more about recommendations. It's more about self-regulation. It's risk assessment, any ways of support the business who are working in this era. And the second step is implementing EU AI Act in our framework. So through these 2 years, we have developed more than 8 recommendations for different sectors how to implement AI responsible. We have joined the pilot project of HUDERA, a risk assessment methodology, and how AI influencing human rights and what companies shall do in this approach. We also have launched the sandbox, which aim to support companies with European standards and with global scale their businesses. We are also launched a self-regulation organization when the companies implement some code of conduct in their approach and to get some responsibilities of development AI more ethical and responsible. And also Ukraine signed the framework convention of AI and human rights. And all of this allows us to prepare our private sectors to the new regulation. And also we are closely discussing with the European Council how do they work with EU AI Act, and we try to understand how this act will influence to European companies, and how Ukraine can provide better approach and support to our local companies and integrate them to the future regulation when EU AI Act will be enforced fully.
Thank you, Peter. Alex, my next question goes to you. And it relates to should we, in general, or how do we protect local innovation? Should we, in general, protect local innovation while ensuring trust and safety that would not lead to an over-regulated local industry or local system? Are there any cases in Moldova that you could share where this is one way or another?
I think the truth is somewhere in the middle, and it's in the shades of whatever color, pick yours. But I guess we don't have too many options, to be frank. Like Ukraine, we are also part of the EU association agenda, and the EU AI Act has become one of the milestones on our integration. So we have a timeline set in stone, kind of. What we don't know yet, and what I hope we will know in time, is the capability of the country, of the government, to negotiate how that happens, and to which extent you'll have flexibility in transposing those 280 pages of the EU AI Act in a manner which would make innovation still grow and develop. Now, before getting more in detail on this, a curious conversation a couple of weeks ago with one of the key EU negotiators in the recent, relatively recent EU members, and he was talking about to which extent this regulatory enthusiasm might become a business case. So, especially when we talk about looking into the bad AI use cases, to which extent that's an exportable product which could put Europe actually on the global map, on the AI global map, as there were two mentioned, of course. Might be there be a third one who would be actually using regulation and knowledge in terms of regulation as something which would help fight with those use cases of the bad AI, which is a good question. I don't have an. But to me, it's food for thought to which extent that could be something we can discuss in a broader sense. Now, on Sunday in Bucharest, another event on AI, it was the same conversation. An EU member, Romania, is still having those conversations to which extent, and they are not discussing the possibility of not adopting it. EU AI Act is mandatory for implementation, but still they are looking for ways to further push innovation to grow without over-regulating, and looking into the ways of making that feasible from their standpoint. Now, we have more time than Romania. We can still try to explore that in being mindful about what is going to come in time when the EU Act will enter into force fully. And that's where the AI Hub comes in, the initiative we are having, which is not a technological lab, which is a coordination platform. And we aim to build it on the quadruple helix approach. We have an initial memorandum, we have a conversation, we have the ministry, the academia, the private sector, the civil society, everyone on board. The question is how we're building that governance instrument, and we're using that instrument in order to standardize work, use cases, and standards in terms of AI development, so that we can not only use that for consumption of AI products, but also for producing something in Moldova, which would be reasonably scalable to countries like, I don't know, Azerbaijan, for instance, if we have specific use cases we can build, and that would be the innovation part of it. And it would look at the economic, social, commercial. Another example is AmCham. We are looking into a tool which would help us build a more intelligent B2B matching across AmChams in the region. That's another way of looking into what innovation might mean, using AmChams as a platform, right? And so on and so forth. So I guess for us, it's a matter of not when or if, it's a matter of how we are making innovation further progress and looking into the regulatory framework which will come, and to which extent, again, that regulatory framework can be used in order to build a business case from. Thank you.
Great input. Thank you, Alexandru. So, and when we're talking about the larger Europe and maybe the next LLM or next AI coming up, we still have a region, which is the Eastern Partnership region, and all of the countries that are present here are part of it. Levan, do you think there is any prerequisite or any option in general to think of a shared AI related framework in the region, or should we just wait on the line to the bigger picture coming from you?
It is a very great question, and I think it should not be just a possibility, it is a necessity. If you ask me from my point of view, because the Eastern Partnership countries are smaller countries with, let's put it this way, limited resources. Yes. So, and in case that, and everybody knows that the investments that are required to develop the AI infrastructure and develop the policies and regulate those policies are, quite significant. Now, if before the EU regulations come in, we have to prepare ourselves in any case. So I think that it's very important that the regional countries come together, pull the resources together, and actually start the deployment of the AI generally. And then along the lines, also we can work together with the composition of the framework and the development of the framework that is going to govern the deployment and the development of the AI within this region. I personally think that the EU regulations are a bit too much strict, I would say, and to a certain extent, the strict regulations actually hinder the quick development and quick integration of the AI. That's why I think it's good that we have time before all this comes into effect, and before the Eastern Partnership countries and the countries that have the candidate status and are aspiring to become the EU members, before everything is set and everything is harmonized. I think we do have the time to come together and deploy as fast as we can, and basically then build up the regulations after the development phase is done. But yeah, short answer to your question would be absolutely. I think it's necessary. It's not even an optional. I think it's necessary to pull the resources together and come up with a single framework basically, and spend the collaborative resources on the development of AI.
Thanks. So, Alexandru, going back, let's explore a bit the government and private sector relationship and involvement. When we look at AI development, AI integration, AI in the government or in the private sector, in many cases we see that some countries are more advanced on the government side, the others are more advanced on the business side. What do companies need from governments, or what's the way forward to invest confidently in AI, either in Moldova or in the region? What it takes? What is the recipe?
Well, there is no one recipe for all, of course, but I guess if we look at Moldova, what would be the key elements if we are looking at the public sector as a consumer of AI generally, and the lead in development of the AI infrastructure and use cases for business development? Yes, a few elements. First would be the predictability of policies, of course, and that's the foremost, and the decision paths. Because we can have the policy transposition like EU AI Act, but how that will happen, we don't know. And since we don't know what the investment would look like, how we can actually estimate any financial projections of any kind under this. Then interoperability would be the key element, both internally but also on the regional level, because on the regional level, and as Levan mentioned about to your question about Eastern Partnership, it's important to be able to develop products which will not go under a new review from the regulatory standpoint when scaling up and going to other countries. So you need to build something which would be completely doable also in terms of scaling in the countries which are your target, right? So that's interoperability in a broader sense. And the third one, I guess, and the most important from the public-private sector cooperation in building AI products is AI-literate public servants. I mean, without the buyers who understand what they want and then can actually explain what's the request and how AI actually can theoretically, from their standpoint, contribute to their solving their problem, you'll not be able to move on to any solutions. And then what is another, I'm coming back to the AI hub, of course, then the element which is, I guess, another pillar is building the competencies and awareness, right? In the public sector, in the small and medium enterprises, at the small and medium enterprises level, maybe less at the larger enterprises because they have the corporate culture or understanding which is cascaded from the region or from other offices, and that's one of the key elements how you could do this development. And of course, think proactively how the government can have policies which can support incentives and incentivize the development of AI and solutions.
Great. You all talk about upskilling and education and infrastructure, which I guess brings a lot of answers to the whole panel that we're having today. My question will go to Peter, and Peter, let me know if you have more time. So building up on what Alex and Levan mentioned and what your interventions related to the efforts of Ukraine to move forward in the digital transformation, the AI factory, the infrastructure, the bottom-up approach that you're doing, are there any specific partnerships or standards that Ukraine could share or implement together with its neighbors?
We are ready to the discussion and try to work in these different private sector and countries. For example, we have different pilots with European Union, for example, the methodology of risk assessment. We joined, and our law firm joined in the pilot regime of this methodology. And after that, together with Ministry of Digital Transformation, we provided a series of workshops for private sector to explain how does it work and how can they implement this methodology in their businesses, and how to build more responsible AI. Moreover, we have AI Center of Excellence, which one of the mission to help to drive some AI in the public sector, but moreover, we try to work in this private sector as well. We have the partnership with Google, when Google, for example, supported development and provided access to the Gemma, which is open source model, and we integrated Gemma to some e-permit government system. We are also building right now our DIA agent on the Gemini technology, and also, for example, Google and Meta provided some grants for Ukrainian private sector, which also provides them possibilities of development, some tools on AI, and provided some integrations in their workflow. Moreover, some days ago were announced that Ukraine has signed partnership with 11 Labs, and 11 Labs technology will integrate in some government services. And also Ukraine have launched a regulatory sandbox where attracted the different experts from the private sector to consulting in the areas of legal, technology, cybersecurity, AI, and help more companies to development AI tools, more ethical and compliance. And Yuskutum also the one of the experts of this regulatory sandbox. Moreover, we have expert committee which has launched in 2019, which consists of the professional from education, from legal, from AI development, from tech sectors, and we are trying to attract their expertise to consulting with some AI implementation roadmap cases, and to try to build this partnership with the private sector to achieve more. And moreover, we are openly with some collaboration or shared projects with different countries. And for example, it was announced that we will develop united sandbox with Estonia to help more companies to integrate AI and this regulatory compliance.
Thank you, Peter. I'm announcing that this is the last question that will go to Levan, and then we just conclude. Since the aspect of sandbox has been mentioned by Peter, do you think that, and you are working on your national AI strategy, I'm just wondering if you are envisioning anyhow also the implementation of AI-related sandboxes, and whether you are looking at any cross-border possibility sharing or collaboration under these sandboxes?
Yes, absolutely. So, as I mentioned, together with the National AI Strategy, we are developing the AI Excellence Center. And this AI Excellence Center will be the institution that will also provide the sandbox for the AI developers, basically. And this will be not just for the startups, but basically every company, SME or corporate that wants to do some of the AI development. Basically, we will provide not just the sandbox for the we'll provide them with the technology. We'll provide them with the access to the computing power, with the access to the expertise, and we'll also provide the to a certain extent the regulatory sandbox to play around there. And basically, we'll see how this will integrate within the Georgian context. Of course, through the Excellence Centers, we are also planning to collaborate with basically anybody who is willing to collaborate in this field. We are currently actively searching for the international partners in this regard as well, mainly from the region, but also some from the Western Europe and the US, and hopefully within the next year. So by the end of the 2026, we will, once the Excellence Center is established, we will also have the sandbox established for the Georgian companies and the Georgian private and public sector. And by the end of 2026, beginning 2027, we will be also inviting for the collaborative works with the international partners.
Thank you. A few key takeaways as conclusions, and we wrap up. Although each country faces or has its own way in developing AI and adapting to the global trends in what means standards, which AI to use, developing their own LLM systems, or a different context, for example, as Ukraine with the war to advance in this sense, there is a clear effort and a clear path that relates to all the three countries, and that's specifically collaborative models that bring to, and you've mentioned both, the AI Excellence Center. In Moldova, it's going to be the AI Hub, which probably can be named in the same way, in a way. You've all mentioned about the AI factories as a key element for the infrastructure component, which would increase the data processing and the capability of a country, which was mentioned. Moldova is also part of the AI factory program, together with the Polish AI factory. So this is something interesting that it's relevant for all countries. Each country has, in a way, developed or in process developed an AI national strategy. Moldova has adopted the AI EU Act, or signed the convention in adoption of the EU AI Act. The other two countries are, in a way, in the process. And it's just a matter of creating a nice framework or a nice collaboration model cross-border, maybe discussing more and maybe seeing how and what challenges are faced in every single country. That would bring to bringing up also the AP countries or the AP region to a higher position in relation to adoption, use, and implementation or development of AI. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Mr. Speakers. Peter, thank you for joining us.